Hey everyone, in this video, I want to talk about Symphony AI, specifically their ITSM platform, and compare it to the experience that we're used to coming from Cherwell. So if you haven't been watching the channel recently, I've been doing a series on a bunch of different ITSM platforms and how familiar or unfamiliar they might be to you coming from the Cherwell background. And basically, the genesis of this was I went to Service Management World a couple weeks ago and saw 13 different ITSM vendors. There was 13 vendors there showing their the latest and greatest ITSM platforms, and I wanted to kind of assemble all of them together into a report ultimately, not to try to determine which one was the best or which one I think is the best, but compare them to the experience that we're used to from Cherwell, specifically along specific axes. So, if you use X part of Cherwell a lot, this tool might be familiar or might have a lot of the capabilities that you're looking for. So that's what this video is about. Specifically, in this video, we're going to talk about Symphony AI. But if you want to see the rest of the videos, there will be a link to a playlist down in the description below. And there's also a link to a web form to sign up to get the full report when it's released, which will happen hopefully by the end of 2024. If you're watching this video after that, still go ahead and sign up on that web form. You'll just get an emailed copy of the report. Um, it'll just come in the email. So there won't be waiting because the report will be out. But in this video, we're going to talk about Symphony AI. And again, specifically their ITSM tool, because they, as a company, are more than just IT. Now, I should note they have AI in the name. If you know anything about me, I am kind of skeptical when it comes to this whole AI craze that's going on right now. So when I meet a company that has AI in the name, I kind of immediately discount them. Um, but I will say, Symphony AI, despite having AI in the name, is not hype at all. They actually use AI very tastefully. And unfortunately, I'm not going to show that in this video, um, but I do encourage you to check out their platform, sign up for a free trial, and play around with it and see what the AI stuff that they're doing actually is. So let's go off to their website. Here's their website, and you can see they do lots of different things. We're going to focus on enterprise IT. You can click this button, and then you can actually sign up for a free trial. I think it's a month or so uh, of a trial, and you get this trial instance like I have over here. I'm already logged in, and you can see I signed up for a few different pieces, but we're going to focus on service management. So if we jump into service management, we get dropped onto a dashboard, which is kind of reminiscent of the old Cherwell Global IT dashboard. Lots of different metrics, lots of different graphs. Um, and the more we get into what I'm about to show you, the more it's going to feel kind of like Cherwell, which I think is pretty cool. So we're going to go into settings and notice that two of these things are named Studio. We're going to focus on Design Studio. We're going to drop in there and I'm going to select, it says select a module. Now this is a little bit different from what Cherwell had. In Cherwell, you had, business objects were kind of like the core dividing line between different parts of the system, right? And you kind of have the same sort of thing here. You've got incident, work order, service request, CMDB. It's kind of along ITIL process or practice lines, um, kind of along what we would think of as business object lines. Let's just stick with incident just for now. And now you can see this list of designers: form designer, form relation, workflow designer, business rule designer, notification designer, SLA designer, report designer. What are all these designers about? Well, form designer, let's start there since we're already here. And you can see different things in a grid that looks like it says form name. So what does that mean? Well, let's look into manage incidents, see what this looks like. I'm just going to jump right to design form as soon as it loads. The demo environments are a little slow. Um, so in just a second, this should load up. Let's go into design form, see what this looks like. Well, we see some controls and we see a toolbox that has a bunch of different options in it. We see a splitter. We see fields that we can add. We see additional tabs that we can specify, and we can really customize a lot of different things here. Now, this particular form is actually currently in the published state, so I can't actually make changes to it. But if I go back to Form Designer and open up one that's not in that's let's just create a new one. We'll use existing form and just make a basically a copy. Go over information technology has a lot of better templates. Let's just do like major incident. Sure. Now, the one confusing thing when I first started using this, to me, it was confusing, was this is a form. This looks like a form, but this is not the form you're designing. This is a form to get information about the form. So pay attention to these steps across the top. So this is the general tab, which is basically just, give it a name, give it some other details. Design form is really where all the magic happens. So here we've got a tenant field and we can make it bigger or smaller. We can change settings. Um, that one doesn't actually have that. Oh, there we go. There's its settings. It took a minute to load. So we can set properties, gives it a title, that sort of thing, validations, appearance, security, data source, where the data is coming from, column, table, that sort of thing. Very much like in Cherwell, you're configuring a business object form and the business object fields that the controls are populated from. So that's pretty cool. Now let's go over to, we'll go back to Design Studio. I guess we're in Design Studio. Could have just got over here. And let's take a look at a different designer. Let's look at under Report Designer, let's look at dashboards, right? Lots of people use lots of dashboards in Cherwell. So let's take a look at what dashboards look like. I'm just going to pick a dashboard at rent. Actually, I've been playing around with this one, I believe. So let's dive into this dashboard. And again, we've got this kind of stepped interface across the top. General has some information, and then design, we can actually see what the dashboard looks like. And this looks big and scary when it first pops up. But realistically, it ends up being, not too different from what Cherwell had. We have a canvas with a bunch of widgets on it. I don't think you can save these widgets off as like reusable components like you could in Cherwell. Each dashboard is kind of its own thing. Uh, but then you can click on something like this and customize it. And like, where is its data coming from, right? And you can also change some of the aspects of it, caption, layout. some of these obviously have more details. If they're a chart or something like that, they're going to have more things to change, more customization options. Um, the only weird thing about this, I mean, there are some janky aspects of the interface, but the weirdest part is that if you go to data sources, you see a bunch of data sources which are a little bit different from like the expressions and the searches that provide the data to um, Cherwell's widgets and dashboards. Uh, and essentially, what those are is a SQL query. So a data source is a SQL query. In this case, it's getting everything from a particular view in the database, and all of that data becomes available to the dashboard. So you can build widgets that use, a specific column, or count up the values in a specific column, or average a specific column, or something like that. Um, and if you're familiar with SQL, even if you just have a tiny familiarity with SQL, like being able to write select star from insert table here, sorry, that's even more confusing. Select star from table, that's probably sufficient here. You can also do calculated fields, like this is I think is a calculation um, that does some things to get some extra data. They have really good documentation, so check out their documentation on how to do all of this. And then once you have that information, you can use it. Oh, I just canceled out of the entire dashboard, I think. Um, you can use that on the dashboard. I meant to hit this X probably. Um, yeah, the UI is definitely very JavaScript heavy, and running the video recording while I'm also trying to demo is definitely kind of bringing it to a crawl. So uh, hopefully this will exit and we can go look at the workflow editor, which is also going to look fairly familiar. Sorry, workflow designer. Let's look at information technology, and uh, did I create one? I thought I created one, but maybe not. Let's just, looks like I have to set a trigger first before I can, yeah, okay. And now we have things like conditions, we have some utilities, which are pretty cool. We can set a value, we can connect nodes together. I'm going to move end, I'm going to try to move end. Instead, I'm going to move end over here because I like looking at things from left to right. And then here you could drag always go to the end. You could also do things like create a record and drag that over here. Try to drag that over here. Oh, and now I want some details because I think I double clicked, or it thinks I double clicked. So there's a little bit of jankiness here and there. Especially, it doesn't help that I'm recording a video right now. It's taking away CPU cycles from being able to run this snazzy UI to transcode the video. But you can do some of the things that you could do in a one step. In some cases, you can do a little bit more than you could do in a one step. Um, it's definitely workflow oriented. So, like you've got notifications, and then you have wait for condition. Um, so this is kind of along the lines of like the automation processes, where you can set something in motion and then wait for eventually something to become true, and then continue the rest of the workflow. That seems to be a theme in a lot of these ITSM platforms, is going kind of the higher level, like workflow oriented approach, as opposed to the more in the weeds, do an automation in response to a particular trigger, down in the weeds sort of approach. So that's something, everything that I just showed is what I found interesting about Symphony AI. The fact that they kind of have this design studio that's rather than trying to force everything kind of in one interface. You've got the interface that you use. So if you just go back to service management here, now you're back in like the technician view, the agent view, and then you've got this design studio where you can kind of build everything all out in kind of a somewhat cohesive um, area of the application. So um, yeah, I found Symphony AI to be pretty interesting, pretty familiar coming from a Cherwell background. Um, whether or not that's the best way to go or not, it's difficult to say. But if you really want something that behaves a lot like Cherwell, or um, it seems like it's trying to be Cherwell in a lot of different ways. Um, and that might be good. That might be exactly what you're looking for. It's definitely got a lot of those capabilities. There are some areas where it's a little rough, but my guess would be that they're going to be working on improving them. It feels in some ways a lot like they they wanted to have a feature that did certain things a certain way, and they found a solution that did it, that checked off that box and got them there. And now they can take some time to kind of like make it feel a little bit more coherent, a little more bit more consistent. Again, I hope, right? Um, if you have questions about Symphony AI, I can certainly find the right people to answer them. If I don't know the answer, leave a comment down below, and I'll see if I can get the information for you. Again, if you're interested in the full report, link down in the description to sign up to get it when it's released, or if it's already released by the time you do that, you'll just get a copy of it in your email. And if you want to see any of the other reviews that I've done on other ITSM platforms, there's a link to that playlist down below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, it would be awesome if you would subscribe to the channel, because then you'll just get notified when I do other videos, like other reviews of ITSM platforms. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up button. Thanks for watching, and I will see you very, very soon for another ITSM platform review.